What is up, guys? I'm Remote Night Owl. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be adventuring into the lore, and we're going to be answering the question, should Riot do Darkin Varus? Now you're probably sitting there wondering, why Darkin Varus? You know, who are the Darkin? What does this have to do with Varus, and why pick this champion in particular? Well, this is actually an idea that I've had since they released Kayn, and Riot has explained who and what the Darkin are. So in this video we're going to be covering the lore of the Darkin, who all of the Darkin in the League of Legends are, and then how this applies to Varus. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to establish who and what the Darkin are. So looking at a few pages of the League Wiki, here on this first one we see that the Darkin are actually sentient beings that long ago were trapped and imprisoned within weapons because of how powerful they were. 3 of which are still known, and they are currently in the League of Legends. However, even on Runeterra within the world of League, there are still 2 that are completely unknown and lost to history. But when it comes to the current state of the 3 known Darkin, all of which are in the League of Legends, we see the 3 primary examples. We see Aatrox, who actually is one of those sentient beings who successfully escaped from his weapon, so he wields the Darkin Blade, which is actually his own sword. But then we see the other 2 examples of the Darkin, which are Rost, who belongs to Kayn currently. He's the Darkin Scythe. And then we have the Darkin Bow, who currently belongs to Varus. So now that we've established who the Darkin are, we now want to answer the question of how the relationship between a Darkin and its wielder works. Now the example we want to go for here is Kayn. Now with Kayn, he has an established relationship with the Darkin in his gameplay. And during the early game, it's a constant battle back and forth between the Darkin weapon, that sentient being that lives within there, and then the wielder, who is Kayn. And then as the game goes on, you will eventually get to the point where you can choose to either have the Darkin take over Kayn and gain the weapon's full power, or you can have Kayn overcome the sentient being that's within inside the weapon and then gain the weapon's power that way. Now, where does this leave Varus in all this? Well, a few things we do know. First of all, Varus does wield the Darkin Bow, which does have a sentient weapon in it. And we also know that Varus is currently losing his battle with his bow, and we can see that in his splash art with the purple bits on his legs and on his forearms, which are indications that the Darkin is slowly taking him over. However, in the wiki, it does state here that the Darkin Bow is either more patient or it is content to share, and Rost, who is Kayn's scythe, refers to him as kin or family, but Varus is known to be the wielder and not the Darkin. So basically what this is telling us that Varus is currently in a state where the Darkin is winning in the war for control. However, currently it is at a point right now where it does not either need or desire full control over Varus's body. So currently in the League of Legends and the state of the Darkin, we have 3 interesting relationships here. First of all, we have Aatrox, which is a Darkin that completely overtook his user years and years ago. Then we have Kayn establishing the relationship of what a Darkin looks like when they both win and lose. And then we have Varus following suit here, who is currently in the process of losing. So with that having been said, you can draw the conclusion easily that it would make sense moving forward to do some kind of Darkin Varus skin. So the question then becomes, how would Riot go about doing Darkin Varus? Well, I actually have 2 options here, and they are pretty obvious, either a champion rework or a champion skin. But one of them is actually a better way of going about it, simply because this is a lore-based thing. Now, how you want to look at this as a skin versus a rework issue is you want to look at this in terms of time. You have the short-term way of doing this, and then you have the long-term way of doing this. Now, the short-term meaning that I would just do this as a skin, and then long-term meaning I would do this as a rework. Now, how I would do the short-term with the skin is I would start the game with some kind of death animation like Callista's Oathsworn, and then have a brand new voice actor for the Darkin Bow be introduced while it's taking over Varus, and then that is going to be the champion for the rest of the game. Now, because this is such an interesting and unique skin concept, obviously you're hiring a new voice actor, and you'd probably want to do all sorts of crazy new animations and effects for this transformation, I would make this either an 1820 or a 3250 skin, meaning either it's legendary or ultimate, because of how much of an awesome change this skin would turn this champion. Now, this leaves one more question open. Would you change the name of this champion since another being is taking over? And the answer to that question is yes. I was actually doing some research, and it turns out Varus is actually a type of deformity in the medical field. It's just a general word for deformity. So I was looking up synonyms and different translations of the words complete or perfect, and I actually came up with this one word called Artius, which means perfect, cunning, etc., and it's spelled Artius. So I think the name Artius would fit perfectly with Varus's counterpart of a Darkin. So with the question of the short term answered as a skin, how would I do this in the long term as a champion at Rework? Now, unfortunately, realistically, Varus is not on the list to get reworked in the future, so I don't think this would necessarily happen, which means the skin concept might be the best route to go. However, when it comes to the champion rework, I would definitely do the same things that I listed with the skin. Have him have a death animation, have the Darkin take over at the beginning of the game like Callista's Oathsworn, hire a new voice actor, and do new animations in addition to the animations that he'd be getting for his new and updated kit, as well as just generally updating all of his skins to fit this newfound lore and newfound concept of this champion. Well guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for watching, but now I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about Varus' current state, both as a champion and lore-wise? Do you think that they should do a Darkin Varus skin or apply it to a full-blown champion rework? Well guys, thank you very much for watching, and as always, we'll see each other again real soon. Have a wonderful day.